Who doesn't love laughing at a good joke in animations? And when those jokes carry a more adult tone or hide a heavier meaning, they usually end up being even funnier and more unexpected. For example, in Gumball, when the main character barges into Banana Joe's room, we can clearly see Darwin's classmate feeling super embarrassed. But if you take a closer look at his computer screen, you'll understand exactly why. Banana Joe was watching an online video of an orange being peeled. And you might think, so what? What's the big deal? Well, if you stop to think about the fact that Banana Joe himself is a fruit, and whenever he's shown without his peel in the show, it basically means he's naked, then it becomes obvious. He was basically watching a video that, let's just say, wasn't appropriate for him, right? But don't think Banana Joe is the only yellow character caught watching 18+ content. Because in one episode of SpongeBob SquarePants, something very similar happens. We see the Krusty Krab employee watching TV, and it's revealed that SpongeBob was watching a sea anemone moving around as if it were dancing. Once again, everything seems normal, but as soon as Gary shows up, SpongeBob gets super embarrassed and quickly switches the channel to a football game. So if you stop and think about it, in SpongeBob's world, that sea anemone would be the equivalent of a professional dancer, if you catch my drift. In other words, this was definitely a pretty adult joke in Nickelodeon's biggest cartoon. At this point, you can already tell we're about to ruin your childhood by exposing 11 adult jokes you totally missed in your favorite cartoons and animated movies. So stick with us, because we're about to blow your mind. A perfect example of this happens in Puss in Boots 2, where there's a really adult joke hidden right in the middle of the movie. It's when Goldilocks starts arguing with her bear brother, and he snaps back saying she's basically a knockoff Cinderella. But her comeback hits even harder. She starts insulting him in different ways and ends by calling him snotty. But in the original English version, she actually calls him full of dingleberries. That phrase can mean a few things, but one of them is definitely the nastiest. Besides describing someone as dumb or gross, it also refers to the very embarrassing situation of having little pieces of poop stuck in the hair around your butt. Yep, exactly what you're imagining. And since they're bears covered in fur, it kinda makes sense. But of course, that slang wasn't created for animals, it was made for people. And yes, it really does happen in real life to folks who don't clean up properly after going number 2. This is the type of joke only adults can instantly get, because those unwanted hairs don't even show up until puberty. And nobody really likes to talk about it, but everyone knows it exists. So without a doubt, Goldilocks hit her bear brother with a pretty harsh burn. Now don't think Disney movies are completely free of adult jokes or double meanings. One of the heaviest ones of all actually happens in the incredible film starring Remy the cooking rat, Ratatouille. When Colette is with Linguini and she's about to discover that he doesn't actually know how to cook, we see him trying to confess by telling her he has a little secret. He even gestures with his fingers, referring to Remy, since he was a rat and tiny in size. But here's where the adult humor kicks in. Since Colette has no clue what Linguini is talking about, she quickly glances downward, most likely at his private parts, assuming he's admitting that what he's got down there is really small. At least that's exactly what the scene suggests. Of course, while this is definitely a very adult joke, it's really just a huge misunderstanding, since Linguini was actually talking about Remy and not his little buddy down below. Now let's talk about the not-so-innocent animated movie League of Super Pets, a film that premiered in 2022 and brought us an adventure featuring only the pets of the most famous Justice League heroes. And let me tell you, there's a joke in this film that's also a hidden Easter egg. But only the older audience really got it. In one specific scene, we see Ace the Bat Hound peeing, and he takes forever. Then Superman's dog asks how much longer he's going to take. During the conversation, Ace reveals that he always drinks a lot of water from the dog fountains at Bruce Wayne's mansion, our Batman. Here's the kicker. He explains that those so-called fountains were actually 2 toilets and a bidet. Now, for anyone who's never heard of it, a bidet is a bathroom fixture without a lid, still used in some homes, designed for washing your backside after using the toilet. So yeah, Ace was literally drinking from a bidet, a scene that might look innocent to kids, but that adults instantly understood as a hilarious inside joke. What makes it even funnier is that nowadays a lot of people have never even seen or used a bidet, since it's not that common anymore. But for those who have, the reference hit instantly, and the laughter came right after. Before we move on, if you also love cartoons, animations, and TV shows, go ahead and hit that subscribe button right now, deal? Anyone who's seen Turning Red probably noticed that the entire film is full of metaphors that come across like big inside jokes. The protagonist, Mei Lee, when she turns 13, transforms into a giant red panda. And if you think about it, it's pretty obvious this isn't just a magical transformation, but a clear analogy for what happens to every girl going through adolescence. First, there are all the body changes that are unavoidable at this stage of life. Literally, 100 out of 100 girls go through the same thing. But the detail that stands out the most is when Mei Lee looks at herself in the bathroom mirror and screams in despair that she's a gross red monster. That's a direct reference to the start of menstruation, something natural that every woman experiences until menopause. The panda is red on purpose to reinforce this metaphor. And while at first, some girls may feel scared or even think it's gross when they face that moment for the first time, the truth is there's nothing gross about it at all. It's a natural and essential part of life, and that's where adults immediately get the real message of the film. This is one of those genius Pixar moves, taking serious, heavy topics and presenting them in a lighthearted, even funny way, while still delivering an important reflection in the background. Another hidden joke that caught many people by surprise happens in Elemental. In one scene, Wade bumps into Ember, who's lying in front of the office, and by accident, his bag catches fire. Right after he makes a comment. At first glance, it seems innocent, but in the original audio, he says, "She's hot." And here's the thing, that word has two meanings. On one hand, it can literally mean hot, since Ember is made of fire, but it can also mean sexy. That's why her reaction is so over the top, full of nervousness and embarrassment. And the funniest part is that Wade realizes he slipped up with the double meaning, but instead of fixing it, he just makes the situation even more awkward. At that point in the story, they weren't close enough for that kind of comment, but of course, after the wedding, everything changed a lot. And still in Elemental, there's another scene you just can't ignore. It's when Ember and Wade stumble upon a couple of Earth characters in a situation that's, well, let's just say, highly suspicious. In the scene, the couple looks like they're trimming each other. It's not clear what exactly they were doing, but from the couple's super embarrassed expressions and the laughter Ember and Wade burst into right after, it's pretty clear it was something very intimate. In a really ironic and funny way, it almost feels like the movie hinted at the secret of how Earth kids are born, or at least how the process gets started. It's one of those jokes that fly right over kids' heads, but adults catch instantly and can't help cracking up. Among the new characters introduced in Puss in Boots 2, the one that definitely won over the fans was Perrito, this adorable little dog who just wanted some friends and even disguised himself as a cat to fit in. Hides one of the darkest backstories in the whole movie. In a conversation that seems casual with Puss in Boots and Kitty, he explains that he used to play hide-and-seek with his siblings. But while he talks about it with pure innocence, you can clearly see on the faces of Puss and Kitty that they understand something much darker. His brothers weren't playing. They were actually trying to get rid of him for real. The heaviest moment comes when Perrito shares that the last of these so-called games was when they stuffed him inside a sock, tied a rock to it, and threw him into the river. The shocking part is that this sweet little pup thought the whole thing was just a funny way to play, completely unaware that his siblings were actually trying to kill him. And to make things even heavier, the very same sock they used in that attempt is the one he still wears as his outfit today. It's one of those reveals where kids laugh at Perrito's innocence, but adults are left speechless by the weight behind his words. Another moment that looks simple but actually hides an adult-style joke happens in Elemental. The very first time Ember and Wade meet in her father's shop basement, Wade accidentally shows up and gets up awkwardly. But here's the detail. His body suddenly appears super buff, like a gym rat with perfectly sculpted muscles. And what almost no one noticed is that it wasn't just his chest and arms that got that upgrade. His glutes were ridiculously toned and sticking out too. And the cherry on top, Ember clearly sneaks a glance right in that direction, as if she noticed his new physique. It's the kind of blink and you miss it gag that kids won't catch, but adults pick up on right away, realizing the animators slipped it in intentionally as a hidden joke. And finally, going back to DC League of Super Pets, there's another scene that was clearly made with the adult audience in mind. The turtle Merton, who gained super speed powers similar to the Flash, is part of one of the boldest moments in the whole movie. At one point, she blurts out a curse word that almost no one noticed because Warner actually cut it in the original edit to avoid making it too explicit. In the scene, Merton comments that even though she may be fast now, she's still blind, and she starts to say that her eyesight is But before she can finish the sentence, a door slams shut, censoring the word and leaving just the suggestion. And of course, every adult instantly knows what she was about to say. It's one of those jokes that completely flies over the kids' heads, but makes adults crack up once they catch the hidden meaning. So if you like this, don't stop here. Pick one of the two videos popping up on your screen right now and keep having fun. I heard the first one is absolutely unmissable.